Welcome to Grant's Rock Warehouse, and tonight we are going to do yet another in our one and done series. The victim tonight, St. Paradise, Derek St. Holmes, Rob Grange, and Denny Kermasi. Great band, or is it? All right, let's take a look.
Talking bands no one talks about. Grant's Rock Warehouse.
Welcome to Grant's Rock Warehouse, and to yet another in our series in the one and done franchise. Tonight, we're looking at the 1979 album from St. Paradise. Now, you're probably sitting there going, who in the hell St. Paradise? Well, Derek St. Holmes from Ted Nugent. Rob Grange, who played in the Amboy Dukes with Ted. I think he was on the first Ted Nugent album too, and I don't know how long Rob had played with Ted, but he goes back with Ted quite a ways. And Denny Kermasi, who was playing with Montrose. Who else? He was in Heart in the 80s. He's played with a lot of people. I mean, but the guy's got
Sammy Hagar.
He's got, that's right.
He played on Cinderella's Long Cold Winter.
Yeah, he's well traveled.
He's well traveled. Great drummer, by the way, and his chops show on this record as well. So, but we're going to talk about it. So we're just going to go around and we're going to talk about the record, and I want your rating out of 10. This is essentially a dark horse. This could be a dark horse record. No one even knows what the hell it is. But St. Paradise formed after they left all these bands. You know, it was pretty much after Rob and Derek left Ted Nugent. And Denny, what was he in prior to this? John, do you know?
He was in Montrose, and he was working with Sammy Hagar on a solo career too.
Right.
I believe he played on the first 4 albums by Montrose.
Yeah, I think so. But on Sammy Hagar, no one ever really thinks of this, is that those like Sammy Hagar, like Street Machine and those live records, it is essentially the Montrose band without Ronnie Montrose.
Right.
And I've always been a fan of Sammy Hagar's guitar playing. You know, to me, I know we're on a tangent already so early in the program. I don't miss Ronnie Montrose at all. I think as a guitar player, I really dig Sammy Hagar. He can fill those shoes. He's a good player. Still is. But there you go. There's my little synopsis on Montrose and the Sammy Hagar solo period. Well, anyway, St. Paradise. So we're in 1979. They were on Warner Brothers. This was produced by Mike Flicker. If that name rings a bell, he produced a lot of the Heart stuff before, well, it all went to hell and they became a pop band. And then he wasn't involved anymore. But his engineering, if you listen to those Heart records, man, they sound really good. They have a certain tonality, and that transfers over to here too. The thing about Mike Flicker that I noticed on this record that it instantly captured me is how good the guitars sound. You listen to the guitar sounds on those Heart records, Barracuda, Magic Man, that's Mike Flicker recording those. He knows how to capture those guitar sounds. Great. So this record sounds really good. So I'm not going to talk much anymore about it. We're going to turn it over to the panel. And I'm just going to go in order as I saw they came on. I'm going to go Byron. We're going to go DC, John, and then Ernesto, and come back to me. And then you gentlemen know the routine. So welcome aboard. Nice to see everybody. Byron, take it away. What's your thoughts on Paradise?
Well, I originally bought this mid to late 80s. I don't know, my cover was different. Mine was a cover of 4 different guys. Instead of that typical cover that you see. I think the reissue has the new cover on it, is this different cover. There was a 4th guy. I think it was John Corey, who is the keyboardist.
The Rock Candy CD has that other cover. And I don't know why it's got a different cover, because I'm looking up here, the Wounded Bird CD that came out in 2011, original cover. I'm not sure why they have a different photo on it.
I can't remember if mine was an import. It's long gone. But yeah, so I guess they also supported Van Halen on the European tour that year. And there's not much about this band out on the internet. There is a short 5-minute YouTube clip of them live, I think, playing like Oakland, maybe Concert on the Green or whatever it was from 79. It's about 5 minutes, and that's really about all I could find. But anyway, this album, it reminds me a lot of the Whitford St. Holmes album.
Right. Yeah.
We already did a show on. Like I said on that album, it didn't seem like they were breaking any new ground, and they really aren't doing much more here either. I wouldn't say that this is any better than any of the Nugent stuff that Derek was on, or any of the Montrose stuff that Carmassi was on, but it's still a solid record. It reminds me of the Whitford St. Holmes in that the singing is really good, the instruments are very strong, and the songs are just all right. There's some pretty good songs, but most of them are just kind of all right, But I wrote down, went through all the tracks here, and I'm not going to go through all of them, but I'll discuss a couple of the ones that really stood out to me. A couple of them I thought they actually were doing some experimenting with some different sounds, and I enjoyed those tracks probably the best. Like my favorite song on here is probably Beside the Sea, the last song on the album. It seems very experimental. There's some really good bass playing on it, and the guitar sounds are quite different too. And there's a real nice solo at the end. I also liked Hades. That
I wrote that down too.
Yeah, the guitars on there are different as well. It's more of just kind of these clean chords, almost like maybe like a Police thing in some ways, but not really. But
it's like suspended. They're like suspended,
yeah,
or it's like Andy Summers would play. But
right.
I wrote down on my notes, since we're talking about it, I've heard that song before, even though I hadn't heard this record. But they might have played this on the radio back when I was a kid or something, because that intro, I'm sitting there going, wow, now there we go. I dig that. I think that's might be one of the best tracks on the record. It's great. The guitars sound great, and it is catchy, and
it's
kind of brings you in.
It's got a different feel to it, and there's also, it seems like there's some odd time signatures mixed into that track too. Jackie, I think, was a single, because I saw online there's a picture of a 45 of that on there, so it must have been a single, maybe a promotional one only. That was decent. They cover Live It Up, the Nugent track. I wouldn't say it's any better, any worse than the Nugent version. Jesse James, I thought was pretty good. It had a real Southern rock feel to it.
Yeah,
it was kind of odd for this album, because this really is a Southern rock album. And I really like Tighten the Knot. It's kind of a shuffle, but there's that riff, and I can't nail down what that riff's from. I bet you John Music Nut has an idea.
I felt the same way you did, Byron. I mean, I know this riff from somewhere, but I can't put my finger on it.
Couldn't either. But those are probably most of the songs that stood out to me. I'm going to give it a 7. That's what I gave the Whitford St. Holmes album.
Wow, that's pretty high.
Right. Well, you never know.
I score things high, it seems like.
Well, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that Ernesto evidently is going to go low. I don't think. Well, I'm not going to wait. All right, let's throw it over. Thank you, Byron. By the way, I'm going to wait and hold off. So, Daryl, take it away. What's your thoughts?
All right. Well, this album completely passed me by back in the day. So I'm listening at it with 2024 ears. I gave it 2 listens, and the third time I would listen to about a minute of each tune. And this is all competently played and vocalized late 70s hard rock. Production is very good, as you mentioned, Grant. On those 2 fronts, it's better than a lot of other styled albums of this era. But the songs, and especially the lyrics, are pretty pedestrian, bordering on hokey at some points. Maybe I would have liked this album better if it was sung in another language and I didn't know, what the words were. And I'm not a lyric guy at all.
I'm not either.
But when the themes and the words to a song are so cliche, I can't ignore them. And I'll go through the songs and point out why I feel the way that I do. It starts off with Straight to You. And like I said, great playing and singing. But yet another one of those, we're going to play our rock and roll for you folks songs, which Grant hates the Grand Funk version of that type of tune. And what kills it for me are the lyrics. We're going to play our music to you coming over loud and strong. We're going to get our pleasure out of watching you throwing your heads to the ground. Now, strong and ground aren't exactly great rhymes. It just seems like they don't, and I noticed this with the Whitford St. Holmes album too. He's a great vocalist, but I don't think his lyrics are just like, they bother me because they're just like hot-blooded. That was like written on a toilet in 2 minutes, the lyrics. It just,
But there's
it's
something
a great
too hot
musically.
about it, though.
Yeah. Are you hot, mama? You sure look that
I
way
mean,
to me.
But Lou Graham could sing absolute nonsense.
Oh,
And you're sitting there and going, all right, I'm in.
not questioning the vocal talent at all. And like I said, I'm not a lyrics guy, but when they're just, doesn't seem like they're even trying, or they don't have the capacity to be clever or even rhyme in a way that sounds good to my ears, it bugs me. And a lot of times these lines come over and over again. Gambling man. This song they rhyme thing with thing. Gambling man, she must be crazy to gamble on you. I know it's rock and roll, and no one needs to be pensively rubbing their chin like they're listening to John Lennon's Imagine. But there are hundreds of rock songs like this, and it's just, and Byron mentioned Jackie. You talk about repetitious. Over and over we get, I would never do you wrong. Jackie, won't you come along? They must say that 57 times in this song. And it's just monotonous. It's like, I don't know, they fail on the lyrical content. And like I say, I'm not looking for grandiose ideas. I'm just looking for lyrics that don't irritate me and rhyme. Next is Miami Slide. And this is the first song on the album where it seems like there was some effort with the lyrics. And it's the first song that I really like on this album. Hades, another middle of the road, bread and butter rock song.
Wow.
The version of Live It Up is good. And there's more space in between the instruments and the production than the version on the Nugent album. But this is fine too. That's my second tune that I enjoy on this album. Then you got Jesse James, similar theme to Gambling Man. He was a stealer, a whiskey drinker. He was a gypsy too, just like Cher.
Sure
there
is.
was a nice lead
That's a
guitar
nice
part
line.
there.
I never did pick that up. Awesome.
Titan or Not, number 8. Workman like rock and roll, nothing remarkable. Not a wall puncher, but it just sits there. And the last tune on the album, I agree with Byron. Beside the Sea, it's a very different vibe here, and I like it. It's different from everything else that came before it. And dare I say, it's a bit funky, which I think it is. That bass line adds that funky vibe to the proceedings.
Cool bass.
Yeah,
So
the bass sounds great.
Yeah, we've got 3 songs on here. Like I say, competent, vocally, instrumentally, and I will disagree. This album cannot hold a candle to like an album like Warner Brothers Presents Montrose. That blows this thing out of the water. But if I was to rate this album, I guess I think I rated Flint 7, and I like Flint much better than this album.
Wait a minute, you like Flint better?
I originally I gave it lower than I said. Don't be an ass, DC, and I rated it higher, and I think I gave it a 7.
Revisited.
I think the Whitford St. Holmes I may have given a 6 or a 6.5. So let's just call this one a 6.5.
Okay.
Wow.
I mean, there's not much differentiation between Whitford St. Holmes and this.
No, it's like
It's just
almost making the
weird.
same album.
I think the production on here is better.
Yes.
Like I said, I love what Mike Flicker has done in the past. I don't know what he's been up to. I don't know what, we're talking 70s stuff. But man, his 70s productions, I dig it. So I like the way
what's happened to all the great producers. Just seems like
everybody's doing it in their bedroom. There are no producers.
Exactly. No one's using these top-notch producers anymore.
No. All right, cool. So we've got a 7 and a 6.5, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to throw it. Thank you, by the way, Daryl. That was an excellent synopsis.
Well, thank
nice way to tear this one apart. Very nice.
I'm dodging rotten fruit here.
John the Music Nut. looking forward to what you have to say. Welcome to the show. Nice to see you.
Thank you very much, Grant. Great to see everybody. I like this album a little more than Byron and Daryl.
Oh, okay, good.
Oh,
A little more. I'm not.
Okay.
First of all, Denny Carmassi, his drumming throughout this album is very strong.
Oh, yeah.
He's throwing in a nice amount of fills. He's not overplaying. He's given these songs an edge, especially on the more driving tracks. I like this a little more than Whitford St. Holmes because I think a few of the songs stand out. Some of them, you may say it's just, average rock and roll, but I think Derek sounds very good. I think the performances here are strong. I do like the recording a little bit more than the Whitford St. Holmes album. Now, I'm not going to say this is as good as those first 3 albums with Nugent. I would give one of them. You got 9s and 10s there. Ted never charted those waters again. I'm not going to say this is as good as that first Montrose album, which is a fantastic album. But there's a lot to like here. I like Straight to You. I like the little harmonies there. I like the guitars in this. I noticed there's a lot of ride outs on this. A lot of ride outs where Derek shines. And I mean, you can never.
Wait a minute. I'm not sure what what do you mean? What's that term?
A lot of ride outs, meaning the song will end. It'll have like a 30, 45 second ending where they're just jamming at the end. And it'll instead of just stopping, it'll end real slow. Like it'll.
Okay.
It fades. It fades, right? So there's a lot of songs like that on here. They're not long songs, but they have long fade outs, right? Gambling Man, it's okay. And, it's decent for what it is. I think Jackie Kicks, I think that's very good. First thing I heard is like, well, this had to be the single.
Yeah.
Because it's just a very catchy chorus, very strong performance vocally by Derek. I think the song's very good, very upbeat. Miami Slide is a little like Uncle Ted. Probably the closest thing to Uncle Ted next to just the song that was on Cat Scratch Fever we'll be talking about. Again, it's very melodic. The playing's very strong. Denny's playing his ass off on this.
Yeah.
Hades, my favorite song on the album. This is excellent. This is the one song on here I'd say is close to a knockout. Memorable guitar lines. It does sound a lot AOR, but it's very good. You hear this and you're like you, Grant, maybe I did hear this before. It sounds very familiar.
Yeah.
It should have done something for this band. It really should have. Now, Live It Up, the one on Ted's album, Cat Scratch Fever, and this is a Ted Derek co-write. This isn't as good as the original. The original, you had that sweet tone of Ted. You had a little bit of Reckless Abandon in there with the bongos in the middle and the whistle, and they stretched it out a little bit. Here it sounds rushed. They're trying to get to the chorus as fast as they could. And it just doesn't sound quite as strong. As great a guitarist as Derek is, Ted is more distinctive. You hear Ted, Ted.
Yeah.
So I think, it's a good version, but not as good as the version on Cat Scratch Fever. Jesse James, it's solid and has a good riff. These last few songs, I don't love them. That's just a good track. Tighten the Knot, again, nice shuffle here. Again, Denny drives this song. It's pretty decent. Beside the Sea, little different. They changed things up a little bit, which I like. Musically it's a little different. It's a decent closer. My favorite songs, Jackie, Hades, Miami Slide. I put Live It Up. If Live It Up needs to be, it's not as strong as the original, but I still quite like it. I like this more than Whitford St. Holmes. I like this a little more than the stuff that Ted did after Derek. I'd say this is a little better than State of Shock. State of Shock was 79. By that point, he had Charlie Hewen in the band. I'd say it's a little better than State of Shock. I give it 7.5.
7.5. What would you give State of Shock just for giggles? If you're
Like a s-
comparing them, how much better is
Maybe
it?
6.5, 7. I think this is a better recording too than State of Shock. I'm not fond of the recordings on Weekend Warriors, State of Shock, and Scream Dream. Those first 3 albums were much better recorded, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
that was Tom Werman production. I think Gary who's the engineer? Gary Landusky, I think. I don't know, but he did a lot of stuff with Tom Werman.
And
Well,
yeah,
the
those albums
Trick
sound a
stuff.
little thin. They sound a little thinly recorded compared to the first 3. This is a little better. This is better recorded,
Yeah.
but I don't think it sounds quite as good as those first 3. And it certainly doesn't have the great songs that all 3 of those had.
Wow, everybody's around the same area. 7, 6.5 is 7.5.
Oh, just one thing I'd like to mention. I did see Derek with Ted Nugent in 2014 when Derek was in the band. And so they were playing some of those deep cuts from that 75 to 77 era that I love so much. And they do live it up that night. And, felt like a kid again when I heard that.
That's got a lot, like John says, that tune, when Nugent plays it, has those extra accoutrements, like the bongos and everything, that just puts it over the top. You know what I mean? You got to have bongos.
Who doesn't
Cowbell or
like bongos, for God's sake?
Cowbell or bongos? Maybe both.
Both simultaneously.
There you go.
All right, cool. John, the music nut, 7.5, ladies and gentlemen. Excellent. All right,
Thank
thanks so
you.
much. Let's throw it over to Ernesto.
You-
I don't even know where Ernesto stands on this record. We will soon find out. Be interested to see. He's got a grin on his face, so I don't know what that means.
Oh no. Well, let me just say this. If I walked into a bar
Oh,
and they
no.
were playing this album,
Okay.
I would probably hang out for a few minutes and then I'll walk out.
Oh,
Don't get me
my.
wrong. Don't get me wrong. It's a
My
great,
goodness.
it's a good album. Okay. I love Derek St. Holmes, but he ain't no Glenn Hughes, He ain't no Glenn Hughes. And I do like
Oh, but
Derek
Glenn
St. Holmes.
Hughes isn't on this record.
Well, I know, I'm just trying to compare him, He's more like the dollar store version of Glenn Hughes.
Oh
Ooh.
my God.
Whoa.
Gee, Mani. Okay.
No, and that's not a bad thing. I'm going to give him credit. I mean, at least he was on the Michael Schenker album, Rock Will Never Die, and I give him credit. He did pretty good on that. But with this album, something was missing. And like DC said, the lyrics kind of were like off. They were like not that catchy. They weren't really interesting. So it kind of like pushed me to the side, and I'm like thinking, oh, well, I don't know. I'm not getting it. I'm not getting that vibe. I don't get that feel, But, I'll give you a run off of this. Everybody said some good things about the album, and I appreciate that. And then believe me, good review. But from the album, Straight to You, the first song, bluesy, catchy. It's a good song. Gambling Man, that's another one that, it's pretty good. I like it too. Jackie, I was kind of like, not that hard. It didn't catch me. It didn't get my attention. And Miami Slide, funky bass. It's pretty good, Hades, I didn't get Hades at all. I didn't understand it. It was the lyrics were off. It was about Hades, about hell, and I don't know what, and kind of like whatever. Live It Up, that was good, but like John said, it needed a little more kick in the ass. So yeah. Jesse James. Now there is one song that stood out for me, only because it was like a story, you know what I mean? And it had a little funk in it, but it was still, I like the storytelling. I like that part of, a song. And Tighten the Knot, another slightly funky song, pretty good. And then of course, Besides the Sea, that's more like a very mellow song, ballady type. There was only, like I said, only a few songs that I liked, and you guys did a good job on talking about it. So all in all,
I can hardly wait. What's your rating? What's your rating?
all in all, maybe like 3 or 4 tracks that I liked from this album. So I'm going to give it a 6. And that's pushing it. Yeah, and that's pushing it.
Okay,
Okay.
excellent. Hey,
He
we
was
all
like-
hear stuff differently because when I go into my thing, some of the tracks that
Right.
you didn't like, and maybe some of the tracks that
Right,
I'm kind of more aligning with John the Music Nut tonight. Um,
right.
we all hear stuff differently, so that's
Right.
what's interesting about it. But excellent. All right, six.
Yeah,
Not six
it's all about the lyrics to me. I think the lyrics was the one that stood out that I couldn't really grab into the lyrics. I couldn't get into it.
Mhm.
Something about it. I don't know.
I wasn't really paying
Yeah.
attention to the lyrical content so much. I listened more to
Right.
just the tonality, the way they
Yeah.
play it, things like that. But some people really pay attention to that stuff. So
I agree with Ernesto because I am not a lyrics guy, and I have never even bought a 45 because of the lyrics of a song. I
Right.
generally don't pay any attention. I like the way words sound together, and sometimes if they're clever, and Kiss is very
Yeah.
good at doing that clever kind of humorous stuff, and that resonates with me. But when lyrics bug me, there's something really wrong there because normally I'm there for the music. So I was hearing what Ernesto was hearing.
Plaster caster, grab a hold of me faster.
Faster. It's
Yeah.
just
See my
cornball.
love, just ask her.
Well, that's not the highlight of Kiss's output as far as being clever. I mean, that's just
Well,
kind of
look at Grand Funk. Grand Funk's got some crazy lyrics. I mean, they're like out there.
yeah.
Okay,
know?
well, yeah. All right. So we got a 6. Ernesto, thanks so much. It's top notch. Well, like I said, this came out in 79. Mike Flicker production. The record just sounds great. I love this era. I love the way the drums were recorded during this era, and I love the guitars on here. And when I listen to it, especially with headphones, I can really appreciate the mix, the way it sounds, and the way I want to give him some props. But Derek St. Holmes is a guitar player. I
Yeah.
dig it. I agree. He doesn't have the tonality like Ted does. Ted, you hear him, right, John? You hear him, instantaneously it's Ted Nugent.
Yes.
Big stamp. Derek's not quite like that. He's more like Ronnie Montrose. Ronnie Montrose could be Derek could be anybody, but I don't think people really, I should give him more credit as a player because he does play for what the song needs.
He does.
And he doesn't overplay. And, it's pleasant. He's not setting the world on fire, but he's hardly making the world a horrible place. So I like it. I do love Derek's soulful vocal. Derek's words are hard. Derek's soulful vocals. Say that fast. I really didn't pay much attention to the lyrical content. I was just listening to the music pretty much. That's what I am. I like that stuff. When I was listening to the track, Straight to You, when it came on, the instant thing that I heard was the great drumming. Denny, right out of the gate,
Yes.
kicking ass. But you know what they kind of remind me of? And I don't know if it's maybe his drumming when he was in Montrose or if he was playing with Sammy Hagar, but they kind of sound like a poor man's Sammy Hagar, kind of. I just hear Sammy Hagar. You could yank Derek off of there and put Sammy in there, and he'd fit right in. So if anybody's looking at this, think Sammy Hagar 79, 80, around that time period. This is kind of what it's like. That's what I'm hearing. Gambling Man, when I heard that song, I just hear that tight production from Mike Flicker. I love it. I actually dig that song, and I thought that was the single when I heard it. So I went and looked it up and found out that it wasn't, that Jackie was the single. But I kind of like Gambling Man better. See, we all hear it differently. Miami Slide, what I wrote on that is decent song, killer guitar tone. And I did make a note that I thought Jackie was good and catchy. I mean, the material on this record isn't catchy, really. It's just meat and potatoes rock and roll, pretty much.
Yeah.
Nothing in there that's setting the world on fire by any means. Hades, this is my favorite track because at least it's more experimental. And I swear to God, I've heard this before, and I don't know where. It must have been Eon when I was a kid. But I dig it. 4 minutes, Yeah, I like it. If the record would have been more like that, I'd been up for it. Now, Live It Up, of course, we've talked about it. It's the Ted Nugent track. It's basically a Bo Diddley song. I don't really have much use for that. Let Bo Diddley do Bo Diddley. But I know that Ted Nugent loves Bo Diddley. So
Oh my God,
you
yeah.
have to, that's fine. But I don't know. Did we not have another song? Why is this on there? I don't know. Were they running out of songs and Derek said, hey, I can do it better? And I'm like, John, the way Cat Scratch Fever, just leave it as it is. Just don't remake it. It was fine. On goes. I'm good. That's a better version. Jesse James, I didn't really write anything about that. Tighten the Knot. I wrote basically that what hit me was just how damn good the guitar sounds on this record. I like it for that. Guitars don't sound this great anymore. Beside the Sea, I thought it was a decent track, a good way to end the record. The far as the sequencing of the record, nothing really stood out. A lot of these songs are all basically they're not the same song, but they're all very similar. You could take this album and Whitford St. Holmes and juggle them,
Yeah.
move the songs around. This is just what we've got. I don't know what the motivation was for this record. Was it a rush job? There's virtually no information out there on it. So I don't know. If I'm going to rate it something, I would say, I'm looking at everybody else's. I think I'm right in that. I don't think I can rate it a 7. I think I could go 7 point. I think I could go 6.5.
No,
It's
that's good.
okay, but there's nothing here that's really that memorable. It's an enjoyable record. It's a good listen. You could wash the dishes. It's a good record.
They should have had a hyper sticker on the album
I
saying
listened to it
that.
while I was doing the
Great
dishes today.
dishwashing music here.
If you're cooking a fillet, throw it on.
Well, that's a good point, Grant, because I look at a lot of these albums, and especially these ones that passed me by back in the day. I play them, and I think, how many of these songs would make it onto my greatest of all time iPod? Not a one. Not a one. It's just workmanlike rock and roll. That's competently played and sung, but
I think that the Grand Funk. Now I'm having a mental
It's
problem.
like Grand Funk.
It's kind of like Grand Funk. Flint.
Byron,
I like the Flint
Byron,
album better than this.
does Byron have the album?
Which one?
This one. We're talking
You got it
Teen
back.
Paradise. Do you have
I used to own it in the 80s and the 90s, and I had the other
Oh.
cover. It must have been an import or something. I don't remember. But
No,
I
that's
sold
the
it.
original
Oh.
cover. I don't know why Rock Candy put the band cover on the front, but on the inside of the
Oh.
booklet, it does have the original cover in there.
Yeah, I had the one with the band
Ooh.
picture on vinyl.
And I'm not sure if that came out in the UK. So that could be
Right.
the
It might
CD.
have been an
Candy
import.
could be this UK record. So
yeah, I didn't delve into this. I just listened to it on YouTube. But you guys that have chance to look at the liner notes, did St. Holmes have any help writing any of these songs, or was it just him having to write all these tunes? 'Cause that may be a window into what was going on here a bit.
I looked into it. I wrote down all the songwriting credits here. Derek wrote Straight to You, Miami Slide. He co-wrote Live It Up with Uncle Ted.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote Tighten the Knot. He wrote Beside the Sea. The full band wrote Jackie and Jesse James.
Mm-hmm.
Eric Kaz wrote Gambling Man. And Rob Grange wrote Hades.
no, I'll be
Okay, so
darned.
he did have some help, because I was
Yeah.
thinking if he was used to helping Ted, create the songs when he was with that band, maybe if he was all alone here and had to come up with all the
Right.
material, that might shed a little light into some of the substandard aspects. But sounds like he had help. So
Right.
Interestingly, just up my opinion, I think the best songs here are the ones that either he wrote with the band or Hades was Rob Grange.
Hmm.
He has full
I agree.
credit on that one.
Mhm. I like it. Well, I kind of like it. You know, if I
think
look
I
at the
would-
ratings on here, I'm looking at Discogs. I just have it up because I was looking up different versions of the record. Uh, for the most part, people that have it, well, they say they have 76 people own it in some kind of format, and the average rating for it is a 9. So we could be
Holy
totally wrong, but it seems
cats.
like a lot of people on Discogs, when they rate it, they like it.
Wow. Do you think
Well,
a lot
wait a
of
minute.
that is
I'm sorry, I'm looking at it wrong. It's a 4. I'm monkey brain. It's a 4. They give it almost a 4.5 out of 5.
Oh,
still?
yeah.
Do you think a lot of that might be nostalgia? Because, like I say, I came along in 2024 listening to this thing, but I know music that is present at a certain point in your life has more resonance and you have nostalgia for it. So that tends to amp up your feeling about the overall product.
Well, wait till you
content.
see my list for 1977. It's
Oh,
all I was a kid.
yeah, you and me both.
But I don't know.
You know,
Maybe
the
the
funny thing
album,
is-
maybe it was the album artwork that killed it. I don't remember
Yeah.
back in the day ever seeing this record in my life.
No,
I don't remember seeing it
When I played in the
musically.
car,
Huh?
when I played in the car, it sounds real mudded, like it's like muted a lot. It sounds really low. The production is really low on it. I don't know why, but
Well, it
I
could
don't know.
be
On
someone's
YouTube, it
transfer
must sound
'cause-
different.
The Rock Candy CD, I think, sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
yeah, this one completely passed me
Don't-
by, and I was an avid reader of like Circus and Cream and everything, and heard nothing about this at all. So
There-
it's one of those
but-
albums.
Yeah, but don't forget that there's also, it came out on Wounded Bird in 2011. It
Oh, wow.
actually came, this is kind of wild. I kind of missed this. It was actually released in the US in 1998 on Warner Brothers.
Oh,
Interesting.
I'm looking at it right now. Oh, I've never seen it.
I
I
was clamoring for that then. I don't know.
I've never, it looks like it came out in that era when Ambrosia came out. And those kind of went up in price. No one really bought them by the time it came out. But it has that kind of design look.
Yeah.
I don't think probably what you were listening to, Ernesto, was the Rock Candy version, but it could have been this. Probably the Wounded
Right.
Bird. But the Wounded Bird, usually they do clones of whatever came before. So I don't know what version you had, but I thought it sounded decent. Well, it must have. I keep raving about Mike Flicker all the time.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's unveil our numbers. Where is it, Grant? Okay, so we had a 7, 2 6.5s, another a 7.5, and a 6. Well, obviously that gives us a 6.7, ladies and gentlemen. So not bad, not great, just in that middle area. I think that's a fair rating.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm comfortable with it.
Would I recommend it to anybody? I'd say only if you're a completist. You need to have gotta have all Derek St. Holmes or Ted Nugent's work or anything that's related. Or if you're a Montrose collector and you like Denny's drumming. But other than that, I don't think it's necessarily one of those records you need. So
Yeah. You got to really think. I mean, the clock's really ticking for me. It's like if I'm going to spend time listening to stuff, and I did give this 2 and almost a third listen. It's like, yeah, you got to choose your albums wisely.
if I
Yeah,
found this reasonable, I'd pick it up. Reasonable. I'm
well,
not
if you
saying
found it like in a
$1,
dollar
$2,
or
but
something.
I'm
This
sorry.
used to be a $1 record all the time back in the day. Now
Oh, yeah?
I never see it anymore though. But
I've
I
never
see-
seen the CD.
I see it for like
I've got the
$8,
CD now, but
$15. It's going for the vinyl's going for like 15, 8, depending.
Have you
Mhm.
seen it on 8-track?
No, never seen it on 8-track. And
Is it on Discogs on an 8-track there, Grant?
I'm gonna look
Ernesto? Is it
I gotta
available?
get out.
because I
But-
expect Ernesto to get that.
yeah, if I can find it, I'll get it. But
No,
Never
there's
seen
no 8-track, just cassette.
yeah. Oh, they have it on cassette? Oh wow.
If that was 79,
19
that was probably post very many releases on 8-track, I'm guessing, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, they
You
quit
never know.
tracks. What was the last 8-track, Ernesto? In the store.
What year?
in the
Oh,
stores.
in the store, I'm thinking 87, 88.
Oh, well, holy cats.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it's probably they probably made a limited run. Who knows?
There's none in here.
No.
All right,
Oh,
I
then
think we can wrap that up. So fun discussion. Yeah, don't unless you're John the Music Nut and he wants it. I don't think it's not a necessary record. Kind of like Whitford St. Holmes. It's an interesting record. If you're a completist for Aerosmith,
Yeah.
go for it. But man, I mean, I got enough out of it that I would keep it. Me personally, it's all right. There's some good guitar on here. Good.
and drums.
Do you guys? It's funny because I'm looking at the description here on Discogs, and they mention, of course, classic rock, but they mention power pop.
I
Wow.
don't hear any power pop on this
No.
at
Maybe
all.
Jackie, maybe.
That's
Yeah, maybe Jackie, but man,
I'm going to throw it over to Stephen Schnee, who's the
yeah, there you go.
Pop.
Aficionado.
aficionado of
It's got more-
power
it's
pop.
got more
Is this
funk.
power pop or not?
Yeah,
it's
maybe
got
he'll
more
do a
funk.
video on it.
Oh, ask
But
him. Can you do a video on St. Paradise?
That's a good point, though. You're talking about Denny Karamisi or Karamasi. That dude never hurts for a gig, just because he brings it and he has a style, and it works in a lot of different band situations. He's just a total pro, and that's why he's always got a gig if he wants it, I would imagine.
Yep.
Yep, I agree. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was our review of St. Paradise and yet another in the bag of One and Done. So did we decide what we were doing next on One and Done? Oh, we are doing rigs.
How could we forget? That's
Now,
right.
I can guarantee you that one's going to get a lot better reviews. I get quite a bit. So
Agreed.
So anyway,
I listened to
what's
a
up
couple
next? So,
clips,
huh?
and they were good, and I bought that one.
I did too.
Mhm. All right, so more to come, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, well, we're going to be ranking our top 10 tracks of 1979. So by the time this comes out, 77. So by the time this comes out, it'll already air. So, but tune in. It'll be fun. We love doing this live shows, talking about the years. All right, gentlemen, we will see you, and thanks so much for doing this. St. Paradise.
Thanks,
All right,
guys.
please like, subscribe.
Thanks
You
so
know
much.
the routine.